What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more classical music, and we're back to continue Dvořák's Czech Suite as performed by the Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra from Katowice. I'm just going to go with that pronunciation again. Please do correct me if someone knows better. I don't think anyone's written anything up to this point, but I do apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly. But this is conducted by Antoni. I mentioned before, Antonín Dvořák, one of my favorite composers ever. Like, for me, he's right on the level with Beethoven and Mozart and some of the biggest names, and Bach, of course. I really just love his music. I love his Slavonic dances. I love multiple symphonies of his, not just the New World, which I feel like does get sort of international acclaim and respect, but some other ones too, like the Seventh. This Czech Suite is amazing. There's a festival march on this same CD. The festival march is fantastic. The hero song, symphonic poem, amazing. And also, again, shout out to Naxos. I mentioned it before. Naxos is a label which, at least back in the day, I assume still today, made economical CD releases of a number of different composers and, different orchestras and performances. I have over, I think 100 Naxos CDs in my collection, and I have a huge classical CD collection. We're talking over 400 CDs. I still haven't even cataloged them all, and I don't have them up on my collection on Discogs. I really do need to go through and do that, because then any of you watching these classical reactions can go to my Mr. Tom Servo Discogs collection, which is publicly visible. Go to the classical folder, which I do think I have a few things in there. But again, I have over 450 CDs that are not listed there. So I'm going to get to that, and then eventually anyone can just say, hey, I saw you have this, conductor's performance of this piece or whatever. Could you react to that? I'd love to do that. So I'm going to get to that soon enough. Nevertheless, the fourth movement in the Czech Suite, which is what we're going to now, which is Opus 39, though my understanding is that that was a deliberately earlier opus number, because I guess, I didn't realize this when I mentioned this in the other video, but I guess part of it is Dvořák felt that this label, this German label that he was working with, was taking older work that he had done and then giving it a bigger opus number as hey, it's this new thing. But for Dvořák, it was no, I wrote that years ago, so that, it's not right to release that as a new composition. So he sort of fought back against that by giving pieces older or lower opus numbers to suggest that no, this is exactly when I wrote it, and so on. So if you have more information about sort of that aspect of his career, I mentioned it in the other one. There's a Jarmil Berghauser. He's a music historian and theorist, and I think he went through and chronologically numbered Dvořák's compositions in order. And so now, I guess when, music scholars talk about Dvořák's work, they often use the B abbreviation rather than the more typical opus. Nevertheless, the fourth movement in the Czech Suite is called a romance. It's also parenthetically called a romanza. Of the five movements, I remember this one. I'm familiar with this one the least. I do have a sense for how it is going to sound, sort of kind of warm and inviting and so on, but I don't really remember the sonic contours particularly. I don't know it as well as I know the polka, which is probably the one that really stands out to me the most. The finale that's coming, the Furiant, I do remember that one. I'm excited to get to that one eventually. But yeah, this one I'm not quite as familiar with, so shout it out if you are. Let me know if this is a particular movement that you really think, emphasizes the quality of Dvořák's compositions in one way or another. I'd love to hear it. Nevertheless, here we go. This is the Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra as conducted by Antoni and recorded in April of 1994. And this is the Romance, or the Romanza, from Dvořák's Czech Suite. That flute is lovely. I assume that's a flute. That's oboe. And all the while the strings with that steady pulse. It's still rich, but it, you know, brought in a little bit of a little strain in that section before. So far is very rich and light, but they're having a couple moments where there's, you know, a bit of strain. Make your own joke about how that fits with the word romance. Very lovely melodic sweep there. In a different place now than where we started. Not that there's peril or anything, but warm and inviting. So, like I said, I think it's telling that I've been a little unsure where we're going, partially because I don't know this movement as well as the others. Pluck strings. That was over. I think it is winding down, but I thought that was the last moment. There it is. And again, I think it's very telling of the compositional sense that, you know, right when I thought it was winding down, it was, but it had to sort of flourish for a moment. Yeah, like I said, I don't know that one as well as the others, but I really did enjoy it. It had a sort of rich texture. There were a couple moments where I felt like it was possibly interjecting some uncertainty. Again, not peril, not like calamity or anything like that, but again, maybe a little uncertainty, maybe a little strain or tension. But overall, I do think it was very warm and inviting, as I mentioned. So let me know what you think about that movement. Let me know if for you, it's sort of transitional moving into the finale. Sometimes I feel like movements do serve that purpose and that they're, it's its own story, but it also has to be understood in what it is bookended by. But, it's funny because someone was mentioning about the Seasons by Vivaldi, the Four Seasons, and they were saying that, because when I'm listening to any multi-movement piece, I'm sort of trying to understand how they might connect and if there are any themes that recur, and this person was like, I don't think any of the themes recur, and I think they're deliberately very separate, because I think, each season is very different from the other seasons, and I was sort of thinking in my head that, well, seasons blend into each other, and so I am always looking like, oh, is there a way that we get a hint of fall or autumn in the end of summer and so on. So that's why I was sort of keenly looking for something like that, or listening for something like that. But then the person did make an interesting point. They're like, well, each movement or each part, each season has 3 movements. There are 12 months of the year, and so it's possible that we could be saying, or Vivaldi was saying, that each movement is a month, and then 3 movements together constitute a season, and so there's like these isolated, even if they are connected within the individual seasons. So yeah, again, I don't claim to be definitive, but I was interested to have that interaction with a person who commented. So like I said, if someone has a better understanding of this movement, both within its own sonics and maybe as it relates to the larger Czech suite, I'd be interested to hear it. As I said, I am more familiar with the finale, which is the Furient, so we're getting to that one. I'll try to get to that within the next few days so we can finish this off and then go on to one of the other pieces I've talked about, Air on a G string, maybe next, and then after that I was thinking the Emperor Concerto by Beethoven, so I got big plans. Shout out to you classical people who've been watching and listening. I do appreciate you. Let me know if you have a request beyond the things I just mentioned. Thank you for listening and watching. I do appreciate it. Have a good day, have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.